All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Planning and Development Committee, February 4th, 10:30 a.m. And I'm going to call this meeting to order at 10:35, and I'm going to ask our clerk to call the roll.
Russell.
Here.
Cobb.
Here.
Studa.
Here.
All right, thank you so very much. We have one matter of business that was referred to our committee that we must deal with before we start with the Taylor meeting, if you all don't mind. Okay, we have an ordinance 2025. The ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase agreement, and this is for the sale of a property on Lancaster. Approximately 1.09 acres of vacant land, and the parcel number is 685-110-24 and 685-110-04. And I, at this time, going to turn it over to Director Zamp to give us information pertaining to this ordinance.
I'm gonna turn it over to refresh your memory.
Okay?
Yeah, I don't think we'll do,
So you want to introduce yourself and
Sure.
so just for the record, so everybody knows
Yeah.
who's here.
Eric Zan, Director of Planning and Development for the city,
Brian Anderson, Assistant Director for Economic Development.
and we're joined here today by
Hi, my name's Kevin Brown, Director of Senior Housing Development with National Church Residences.
We're not gonna go back and do full presentations, again, in the, interest of time, but, at the end of the day, this is a project that the administration and city staff is supportive of, to, increase density while putting better use to underutilized city surface parking lots. This is going to be a $22 million investment into the city to build this senior affordable housing project, again, 71 units. We feel that, and we're confident that the parking won't be an issue for the neighborhood and the district area.
Yeah, just to add, although they're not in the room today, the Unitarian Church, which is the private property that's part of this, we've been working collaboratively with them over the past couple of years to study that property. And they, of course, desire to see that they use that meets their mission, and they felt like affordable housing, senior affordable, met that mission. So it really is a public-private partnership. And of course, the request here is a purchase agreement, which still has that second step, which is a development agreement down the road, should they get the low-income tax credits from the state. And just as a reminder that economic development process that we discussed previously and last night is that the more that council and this committee can give us, the administration, in terms of the things we're looking for in the development agreement, the better.
If you wanna hear anything as well, Kevin.
I don't know if I have really much more to add. I made the presentation last night describing our company, the background, the to the table, providing affordable housing, not only in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, but really across the United States. And we think this is a really great opportunity to bring affordable senior housing into the city of Cleveland Heights to help meet a really identified need. So really welcome any questions, any kind of dialogue that's necessary to talk through the purchase and sale agreement. And if you want me to go into depth about the project or talk through the presentation from last night, I can do that as well.
Okay, thank you so very much. Is there any questions from the committee? Go ahead.
I'll go first.
No, I think I had my questions answered last night.
Okay, so if somebody's not, do you have to be income eligible to live there? I mean, what if your income is above, not low or moderate income? Could you still?
No, that is correct. It is an income eligible basis. That's how we determine who can qualify to move into a unit once the property is built.
So there's a floor and a ceiling.
There is a ceiling. There's a floor practically if someone can pay the rent. I mean, these are not subsidized units per se,
Right.
meaning they're not vouchered units like we would have vouchers from CMHA or from HUD. This is affordable housing. It's deed restricted to limit the rents based upon certain income levels. So we'd be serving individuals with so many we'd have so many units set aside for individuals earning up to 30% of the area median income. And there'd be tiers up to 70 or 80% of the area median income.
Okay, so not above that.
That is correct.
Okay, and how does the parking permit, I don't know, maybe this is the question. Yeah, how does the parking permit enforcement go when you have some parts of the lot that are gonna be city, the easement will be for the cities, under the city's control, and then part
I
of
mean,
the
it would be signed and then have to be, monitored for enforcement.
So would all of it be monitored by the police or just part that's the city still, I don't wanna use the word owns, cause it's technically we won't own a lot. but
To be
we'll-
determined exactly what the structure ends up being, whether it's an easement or it is, re-deeded back to us or not.
So we would work closely with their management folks. If somebody with a permit is parking on a private lot, then there would be coordination there. But I believe that PD would be monitoring our part of the lot.
Okay. And I know you don't have the legislation sitting in front of you, but I was just looking, I mean, this is a minor thing, but on page 3, which can't be page 3, well, I don't know, it says 79 and 93, but page 3 in here, it says that when you add up the purchase price, the $10,000 earnest money and then $186,000 upon the closing date and so forth, and you add all this up, it adds up to $502,000.
Yeah, that was a typo.
That's a typo?
Yeah, we have to,
Okay.
that should be, what do we say, it should be,
196 total, so it'd be 10 plus 184 actually.
186.
No, 184.
Okay,
Because I
we
think it
put
says
the
186 on here.
Yeah, 184 is correct. No,
I see.
that takes into account the 10,000 earnest money.
Okay.
So the total be 194?
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think I had any other, I mean, I didn't say that to be nitpicky, I just wanted to make sure, since it didn't add up, that it was accurate, otherwise. That's really all the question, I mean, just so everybody knows, they were here like 14 hours ago. So.
I have a question. What, is there an age limit? The age limit for people to move into those?
There's a minimum age of 55.
55. 55 and older.
That is correct, there's no upper.
That is- I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So in 10 years, you'll qualify.
Okay. And I think the other question that Mr. Cops had yesterday was answered. So the pleasure of the committee is this to move forward to back to committee of the whole for review or to pass?
Well, I'll make that motion.
I'm a no.
You're a no?
I'm a no for right now.
Okay. So we have a no and a yes. Oh.
And whatever you say.
So, Mr. Cops, explain your no for me.
The sales price,
Mm-hmm. It is huge difference.
huge difference. $1 million property that we're essentially selling for $200,000. I understand we're getting some parking spaces. We're essentially paying for our own parking spaces, which exist now. So that's one issue that I have with the project. The other issue that I have, which goes back to prior proposals to develop this property, is giving or selling both parking lots in that area. I understand the parking study, but to me, it is not acceptable that someone is gonna have to walk to the Coventry parking garage for additional parking. So I have a problem with selling both parking lots.
I'll support that. So I'll go with the no as well. Okay,
And in that case, we're not, I guess we're just not moving it forward, right?
correct.
Okay.
All right, so it has to be discussed at the committee of the whole. Okay. All right, so we will now move forward on our agenda. All right, so, good morning again.
Good morning.
And welcome to your portion of the Planning and Development Committee meeting. We're gonna do some introductions, and then I wanna give you a synopsis of why we're here, why I knocked on your doors and called you and bugged you to participate in this meeting. So welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and find out what the city has to offer and what other agencies have to offer in their businesses. So first, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves around the table, and we'll start with you, sir. And give us a little, now you're on camera, so you have an opportunity about 2 minutes to talk about your business and tell everybody about your business so residents will know where to come to support you. So take it away.
Yeah, hi, I'm Brooke Riley. My dad started Riley Painting and Contracting when he was, I think, 20 years old, and I started working there when I was, I don't know, 5, 6.
Wow.
No, but he's in Florida now, so he asked me to come here. I'm kind of coming in blind, so
Everybody is.
Yeah.
See what's going on, but I know my dad's a big proponent of Cleveland Heights and supporting the whole housing issue, and I know he's very proactive in that department. So but just to sum it up, we're a family contracting company. We have rental properties in Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights. So yeah, it's nice to be here and see other local business owners, and
Thank you
So
very much.
you're Blanche and Taylor, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I think Councilman Cobb, did you introduce yourself?
Craig Cobb, City Council member. Thank you all for coming.
Tony Kuda, Council President.
Okay.
My name is Nicolette Creel. I am the owner of HBN Lux Hair Salon. I'm located on the corner of Cedar and Taylor. We're right next to the Haunted Restaurant. So I'm here today. It's my first city meeting. I kind of didn't know what to expect, but I do know that moving forward within my business, I want to know how can my salon and my other coworkers, how can we offer our services to help better the community in the area of Taylor and Cedar. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
I am Myra Orenstein. I'm a Cleveland Heights resident. My kids went all through the Heights schools. I have an advertising agency in Cleveland. I'm the former executive director of Coventry and also Cedar Fairmount.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bray. I wear a few hats today. I'm a resident in Cleveland Heights, an owner, a mother in the school district, and I'm also here to represent the Urban League of Greater Cleveland and UBiz Venture Capital and the resources that we have to offer to clients.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Calvin Singleton, president of Calvin Singleton Associates Architects, and I own the building that's called the Singleton Professional Center right next to Pizza Bogo and Birmingham Garden Center on Cedar. Longtime resident, kids went through the Heights High and the whole works.
Good morning, my name is Amy Rosenbluth, and I'm the executive director and co-founder of Lake Erie Inc. We're a creative writing center for kids, and we've just relocated as of December 15th. So we're really excited. When we opened up Lake Erie Inc. 15 years ago, our vision was actually to be in the storefront. Because we wanted to make kids visible, and we wanted to make kids making art and writing stories visible, and invite the community to be part of what we do. We really do engage community. We do community cookbooks, and we do a lot of mentoring. And anyway, so we had been located in the Coventry School, and we're really excited to be in a new home and to actually have really the ability to connect with businesses and community, and also to have windows. 15 years with no windows, that is a big thing.
All right, I'm Michael Smith. I'm the owner of the Locker Room Barbershop, 2160 South Taylor, and that's it.
Good morning, I'm Jeannie Herman. I'm new to the Taylor Road District. I opened a vintage / estate goods store at 2174 South Taylor. I am enjoying getting to know people in the neighborhood and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, welcome.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jaco Berger. I serve as the Associate Director of A Good Ohio, which is the parent organization of Gesher, which many of council are familiar with. Resident, I walk Taylor Road every day, and I represent some of the businesses that rent on Taylor Road, like Bricker Holem and Total Life Institute.
Thank you and welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Kinney. I serve in the Department of Development for Cuyahoga County. I am in attendance in place of Vaughn Johnson, our Deputy Director in Economic and Department of Development. The department has resources that business owners can connect with and really apply to. If we don't have those resources in-house, we will try our darndest to connect those business owners with the appropriate resource and the opportunity for your business needs. Our department focus is business retention and attraction with a big emphasis on retention. We don't want businesses seeking locations and sites outside of the county, especially outside of Northeast Ohio. So again, business retention and attraction is really our mainstay in the department.
Thank you and welcome.
Hi, my name is Dawn Quintana. My husband and I have Quintanas on South Taylor. I started our company in 2001 at Cedar Fairmount, and it was just a nail salon. And we added massage, we added facials, and then we bought the building on South Taylor back in 2002. And then with the recession, we moved from Cedar Fairmount over to the barbershop building when Mr. Perry, who had Heights Beauty Salon, which was next door to us, when they retired, we bought the building next door, and then we moved the spa there, and we opened up a bar inside of our barbershop. So we have the spa, the barbershop, the speakeasy, and then we also purchased the corner parking lot. So we've been on Taylor Road for 22 years. We're going on 24 years of our business. So my husband just got back from South America. So he is working today behind the chair cutting, so.
Hi, my name is Christopher Irons. I am the owner of New Champions Barbershop. I am a licensed instructor as well. My shop is we cut all textures. Matter of fact, Michael is one of my former students. The industry has changed completely because of salon laws.
I agree.
The prices are skyrocketing because before the prices for haircuts used to be into the owners. The owners decided, what the prices would be for clients, but the salon laws changed that, and it gave all the power back to the barber now. So I used to run my shop traditionally the old way where we set the prices, but now I had to acquire an app that would allow the barbers to make their own prices. And like I have 3 veteran barbers that's been around for a long time, and we had a discussion about, kids' haircut. And they wanted to go up on a kid's haircut. So I, traditionally, I would keep the price at the same price. But I think it's unfair for someone that has been in the industry for a long time. I've been in the industry, I've been a licensed barber for 20 years. And for someone to come in and have to have the same prices as a student coming out of school, I don't think that is fair. So when new students come into the barbershop, they can keep the old prices. As time go along, as they get better with their skill, then they can go up. Other shops.
So I'm gonna cut you off.
Yes.
Because this is just the introduction piece right now.
Okay.
And just to give
Okay.
everybody, a little synopsis of their, cause.
I just wanted to.
No, we're gonna give you time, but I just wanted to make sure
No, I'm gonna cut it
Everybody in the
short.
room.
I'm gonna cut it short.
Okay.
I just wanted to
No
give.
pun intended.
no,
No, I understand, but I just wanted to give, because this is, to a lot of families, and especially in the community, when you do that, it's a disconnect with the community. That's what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to elaborate on that just a little bit, to give everybody an idea, because it's getting out of hand.
Do you work with LaDosha Wright?
No,
No, I'm talking about
No,
Julie.
I work next door to her, but we do work together.
Oh,
We
okay,
always work together. I've been on the block, for 8 years.
okay, so, cause I know she's been fighting at the State House regarding issues as far as salons and beauty salons. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, gentleman just walked in.
Oh, hi, my name is Alonzo Loney, I work for Sherwin Williams. Spoke to us about the event, and I'm just here to understand more about it.
And you have your own business as well, correct?
Yeah, photography,
Okay.
yes, yeah. Yeah, I've been into photography since the late '80s. Started off in wildlife photography and worked all the way into from weddings to fashion to boudoir and headshots and so forth. Yeah, but got kind of knocked out due to the COVID.
Okay,
Yeah, so.
thank you.
My name is Hank Kornbluth. I own Mr. Brisket. We're going into our 51st year of business on Taylor Road in Cleveland Heights. Always the same location. We're a boutique butcher shop specializing in premium quality meats. We do some wholesale, we do mostly retail. Not that anyone asks, biggest growth area for us is shipping out of town. That's really taken off. I am we do a lot of business outside the Cleveland area and outside the state of Ohio. And obviously, I'm excited with, having new businesses on Taylor Road. I love having the vintage store and, obviously Quintana's and Smitty. And having that new coffee shop. So, I feel like we're getting a little low. And I'm hoping that you have some great news for us about some magical parking situation.
Okay, did I miss?
Did you?
I can't see behind.
I'm Josh Sias. I own Foodasatva with my wife. I'm sandwiched between these two fellas here.
I'm sorry, you own what?
I'm sorry, what?
I didn't hear what you said. You own?
Foodasatva. It's one of the oldest vegan restaurants in Northeast Ohio. It is, if you count catering and pop-ups. I'm also pretty much known in the neighborhood for being a proponent for keeping small business affordable in Cleveland Heights, which is increasingly difficult due to rising rents and inflation. Obviously, we've seen what's happened in Coventry due to the rents and the condition of the buildings. Same thing's happening on Taylor. Landlords are trying to raise rents, buildings aren't being repaired. Last year I had my ceiling come in, my window break through. Took them, that leak was going on for 5-6 years. Since I came into the building, till the whole ceiling came down. Never fixed it till he was forced to. I've never met my landlord, he lives in New York, not a surprise. It's a problem in Cleveland Heights and all the small businesses are facing it. I haven't seen anything done about it since I came in, so. I also live here, I live on Ormond next to the library. Yeah, that's me.
You wanna introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Julie Kaufman. I know a lot of you. I work in economic development, and those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet, I look forward to connecting with you after this. Thanks to Vita for getting us together.
You're welcome.
I'm another Julie, so
I am the Executive Director of the Cedar Fairmont SID as well as the Heights Hillcrest Chamber of Commerce. So look forward to talking to you about both. And the Heights Hillcrest Chamber of Commerce is 6 municipalities, so Cleveland Heights, of course, Richmond Heights, Shaker Heights, University Heights, Southfield, and Lyndhurst. Happy to be.
Okay, you wanna introduce yourself to the group again? I'm sorry.
So for the second
Just
time,
in case, yep,
Eric
just in
Director of Planning and Development for the city.
Brian Anderson, Assistant Director for Economic Development.
And Eddie, you cannot sit here and not be introduced now.
I'm Addie Ballister, I'm a clerk of council here in Cleveland Heights, and I'm also a resident, have been for 12 plus years.
Thank you, ma'am.
And former classmate of
Yes, and former classmate, and I also know we have someone who's married to a former classmate of mine as well, so. Yeah.
So, and thank you again, all of you, for coming. So the reason and the purpose of this meeting is twofold. One is to talk to you all about a Merchants Association or SID on Taylor Road. Why? Because our business district on Lee, Fairmount have SIDs. With a SID, you come together, businesses come together, owners come together, they talk, they discuss what needs to happen on that whole business district blocks in both areas. They meet with the city, quarterly or monthly. When they have those meetings, they express their desires, their wishes, their concerns to the city to be able to make that business district a vital business district. Taylor and Noble Road, and Coventry has one. And Taylor and Noble Road is the only two business district has no type of functionality to either meet, talk, bring any concerns or desires to the city at all. So we've had some ARPA money, and we wanted to be able to talk to you all individually because Taylor is totally made up differently than Noble, and Noble is totally made up differently than Taylor. We wanted to talk to you all about thinking about either creating a SID for the Taylor area or a merchants association. That's one. You could digest that why I tell you the second reason you're here. Not only did I want to bring you together to discuss a way that you have clear communications with the city, I didn't want you to walk away without having some type of avenue to get resources for your businesses or grants or loans or know what's out there for you to be able to access funds to help you with your business. So that's why I asked the Urban League, that's why I asked the county. Congresswoman Shontel Brown's, her representative will be watching. They had a state of the address last night, and all of their staff is kind of a little tied up today. So they will be watching to make sure that they're able to offer you other grants or federal funding as well. We will be having another meeting because I will give you an action, homework to move forward with the next meeting. So if it's okay with our council members, if we can drop the titles right now and make this a regular discussion so that, because I want you all to really lean into telling us what you need, what you want, what's your expectation, what do you think about an association versus a SID? And Myra, who has her expertise in creating or being executive directors for those SIDs in the other communities, I wanted her to explain to you all what the difference is between a SID as well as a merchants association. And so now I'm gonna turn it over to Myra.
That's just one real quick question. I because when I think of Taylor Road, I always think of my little piece in the Cedar Taylor area. I assume that by Taylor Road, what you guys are thinking of is, let's say, from Quintana's all the way down towards, Severance area.
And that would be the discussion here.
Okay.
Yes. So we're not setting, I'm sorry.
I just want to add one other thing that may be useful for this conversation.
Oh, yes, and I want Eric and, see, I'm gonna call you this wrong name again. Ryan, thank you.
Or not Alan.
Right, thank you. I don't know why that's in my head, but please jump in anytime,
Yeah,
okay?
I was just gonna say, and I think Hank and I think Dawn to some extent, there had been a fairly active merchants association at Cedar Taylor for some number of years. I think it kind of tailed off, partially because of COVID, but when I started here 8 years ago, it was a pretty strong Cedar Taylor Merchant Association. You guys, I think, were in a good place and maybe going towards a SID direction, but it never quite got there. So I think, whatever kind of comments or lessons or things that you thought were valuable from that experience is probably beneficial for this conversation.
Yes, be great. Okay, Myra, you're on.
Sure. So for those of you who don't understand the difference, let's just
And we were asked that when we're in this room, it's very hard to hear because there's no microphones.
okay.
So if everyone can speak very loud so that the residents can hear what's happening in the school.
All right, so let's start with just a basic. Consider that you're doing a house sale and you're by yourself and you're doing this house sale and you have X amount of resources to do that house sale. And then suddenly your street does a house sale. And so you have more resources. And then the street behind you gets involved and you have more resources. So starting a merchants association is like that. It's like not being alone. It's creating a community. It's deciding that you're going to work together, that you're going to have a common interest, that you have a solid voice, that you can, as Davida said, present to city council or to the mayor or whomever at City Hall, and that you can have that one point person make a phone call and say, there's a pothole at this corner and we've got to handle it. So you're not on your own. It's not all of you calling individually and saying, I'm having a problem. If you can imagine what happens at City Hall when all of you call, it's disastrous. It's time consuming. And so getting together not only helps with that, but also with a merchants association, you have the strength to develop a vision. So when I was thinking about Taylor Road, I thought out of all the neighborhoods in Cleveland Heights, yours is the most diverse. When you think about Coventry, similar merchants. When you think about Cedar Fairmount, similar income demographic. Same with Noble, but when you get to Taylor, it's everything. It's everything that Cleveland Heights says it is. It's diverse. It's got all kinds of ethnic background. It's got everything, but it also has breaks. So just like a neighborhood would have breaks with a city, you have different pockets. So would you advertise, and I'm using this as a marketing person, would you advertise Taylor as one place? Maybe. Would you have campaigns that specifically deal with one area of Taylor? Perhaps. Maybe you do both. Maybe you have an all-encompassing kind of marketing program, and then you also break it down. So I was thinking in terms of weather now. Okay, so everybody knows that almost everyone goes sledding on Taylor, okay? So if you did something at night with Taylor in that particular area, do you do a walk through Taylor day that goes into the afternoon, that goes into the evening, that encompasses a lot of merchants? Or do you do something with cocoa on Taylor and everybody serves cocoa? You have to come up with different things that you can do. This is all driven by merchants. And that's significant because once you get into a SID situation, it's all driven by business owners. So the SID situation is that you have to have a 60% buy-in of the frontage of the buildings for a SID to happen. That means that every building owner in that district automatically is on board once you get those 60% signature. So the 60% signature then says, all of the owners are saying, we're gonna buy into this, we're gonna put our faith behind our merchants, we're gonna try to drive business to the neighborhood. What does this do for the building owner? Fills space. I mean, basically it fills space. It also keeps the upkeep of the neighborhood contingent. So you're looking at a situation where the building owners are saying, we are now investing in making Taylor Road look better. This will help our properties, this will help our renters. We will do landscaping, we will have snow plowing, we will have sidewalk clearing, whatever they decide they want to do. It's up to them. You can come to the meetings as merchants, they have final say. So they have created a situation different than a merchants association because and I'm using Coventry as an example. Coventry had a merchants association and said, this is great, everybody's on board, it's gonna be X amount of dues, we're gonna pay this, and then all of a sudden, it's time to pay the dues. Merchant A pays the dues, merchant C pays the dues, merchant B's like, yes, sometime. Merchant D pays the dues, someone else is in arrears, all of a sudden there's no budget, they don't know what they're gonna do. And then they said, this doesn't work, we gotta do something that's more solid. And a lot of the people on Coventry were owner operators. And so they said, okay, we're gonna get, and I'm gonna use the Tommy Strip as an example of what was happening then. All of the merchants in that district went to the building owner, they actually bought the building and they said, okay, now we own this building, this is one of the biggest buildings on Coventry, we are going to dictate what's going on Coventry. Tommy's a great point person, we're gonna make Tommy the president of the SID and then get everybody else involved. So Tommy goes out and he gets Montlac involved and he gets the other Montlac involved and he gets everybody else in the district involved and they start coming to meetings. And the merchants come to the meetings and the owners come to the meetings and suddenly they start doing things. So when I left Coventry, we had 27,000 people on the street on a Thursday night on a street fair. Because they did it. They decided they were a unit and everybody was on board. That doesn't always happen. It doesn't happen with either the Merchants Association or the SID. But what you need to decide is, to me, all right, and I'm only using personal example here. If you start as a Merchants Association and the building owner sees all of the merchants want to work together, this is important, we gotta do this, then the next step might be the SID. But to go after it as a SID and get the building owners with you and on board and getting those signatures is really hard. I know this because I just did it with Cedar Fairmount. We just expanded the district right before I left. Getting those signatures and having buy-in from those building owners is tough. So for them to know that you're invested, they might want to be invested. But to start with a merchants association and saying, we've got to do this, we've got to make it better, is a good first step.
Yes, and please, don't sit back. I want everybody to ask questions. I want participation, so go ahead.
Okay, I have several questions.
Yeah.
The city owns the big development now, right, on Taylor, those buildings?
Yeah.
So
It's actually, we no longer own.
you no longer, that was
You're
sold,
with the developer to do the construction, we transfer the
so
property.
it is transferred?
Yes.
So there's a separate owner?
Talking about all those apartment buildings.
The Taylor Tudor building.
Taylor Tudor building, yeah, I knew the city owned it.
Blanche to Kane Park.
Okay, cause my question was gonna be, how does that work? Where the owner's the city?
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that.
Right.
It's not unprecedented though, if that were still the case, but.
Okay, and at that, therefore then, building owners, everybody has just a percentage ownership in it, or how
No,
is that
once it's signed, everybody's pretty much equal.
equal?
But if, say, building owner A wants to do the SID and you get to the 60% margin, if building owner C doesn't want to do the SID, they're grandfathered in. They have no choice. They're in automatically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the frontage has to be achieved on that 60%. And then once that's achieved, then everybody else is automatically in.
Okay, so is the frontage determining the percentage?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's the
so
building frontage.
so to some degree, an owner would have, if they have a large frontage.
Yeah.
Bigger,
But in terms of the vote itself,
it's still just one. I
still
got you.
it's one vote per person, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question is, how does it work with multiple merchants associations that may be in existence? Do they dissolve?
That would totally be up to you.
Up to-
I mean, I think that that's up to people in this room and everybody else on Taylor, how you want to function.
Okay, because I was a part of that Cedar Taylor development.
Yeah, and maybe that expands since you already had a basis, so you don't have to start from scratch. Or maybe you say, we just want to start all over again with a clean slate. That's really up to you.
What are the advantages of having both and or disadvantages of having a SID and a merchants.
They're redundant, basically.
Right, so
Yeah.
what are the advantages, disadvantages? I mean,
Myra, did you bring the handout that you had last?
Yeah, but I didn't wanna give it out with everybody reading it. I do have a handout that I'll
I
give
just
with
think
you.
it'll be helpful at this point, maybe.
Yeah, I don't want everybody to sit reading
In
while
fact,
we're
I
talking.
think what the difference is from what I'm hearing is that when we have the SID, then we have building owners, you know.
And you have a guaranteed-
You own your building.
right.
You also have a
but I
guaranteed budget.
I know the difference. I guess the question is there pluses and minuses?
Yeah, so the advantage the Coventry found was that what I explained before about the Merchants Association not collecting dues. With a SID, it's on your property tax. It's a triple net lease and it's figured into the property tax, which then is allocated to the people that rent in that building. So the building owner itself is not paying for it, it's just accepting it. And then he's splitting it amongst everybody that's renting from him.
Tenants.
Okay, so so if you say, if the SID decides, look at, this is what the budget's gonna take, it's gonna take $150,000, and I'm just throwing that number out there. If the building owners say it's $150,000, that's gonna cover the landscaping, the snow plowing, and the marketing, okay? Then the building owners decide, based on percentage of the frontage, who pays what to get to that 150. If you have a merchants association, there's nobody saying that they have to pay. This goes through the county, so what ends up happening is, if you decide that you wanna do a SID, you have to have the paperwork in by like September 11th, somewhere around there, September 10th or 11th. That money then immediately goes into the property tax for the following January. So you're guaranteed you have a budget. The other way you don't.
And so, I don't mean to.
No, go ahead.
No,
Right, John.
Go ahead.
you're asking good questions.
Yeah, you're asking questions that I wanna know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think they're
You're
very
asking
reasonable.
very good questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to
No, it's okay.
spread it out. So,
Yeah,
So, if trying to get the building owners together.
Yeah.
And the structure of that, does that become like a, president, vice president, treasurer type?
they vote amongst themselves on what the board's gonna be. So like at Cedar Fairmount, Chase Bank decided they didn't wanna do it, all right? But because they had the 60%, they actually had more than that. Chase had to do it. So whether Chase wants to come to a meeting, up to Chase, but would they probably be a board, president? Probably not.
Yes.
So they're looking at when you decide within the SID, like who's gonna be president, vice president, et cetera. It's more like which people are really the point people in the district in terms of the building owners. Who's gonna make the most impact in our district? And who's gonna be a good voice for the district if we have to do PR or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah, because if you have New York owners who are.
Exactly, then they're gonna be vacant. I mean, and that, again, Chase, Chipotle, same situation. I mean, I was writing to Chipotle, they were somewhat involved with what was going on with Cedar Fairmount, but not to the degree that when I was on Coventry, everybody owned their own building, everybody was from Cleveland Heights, they were all at meetings all the time. It was a whole different kind of dynamic.
I have two more questions.
Oh,
Alright, I'm in a unique area of Cleveland Heights because we border, Taylor at that point borders University Heights.
Yeah,
One of
right.
the issues we had was trying to get University Heights to partner with Cleveland Heights because as a merchants associations, our funds were allocated from Cleveland Heights with some of the grants and monies that we were securing.
Yeah.
But University Heights wasn't necessarily buying in.
Right.
So we could not affect those businesses, yet they were tangent
Sure.
to our businesses.
Yeah.
And, you were doing signage and things like that, and they didn't wanna do anything, so we couldn't force.
Yeah.
So does a SID assist in that, because now we're dealing with the actual building owner of that?
Can you cross city boundaries with a SID?
Our understanding is yes. I think we'd explored that question back when the Merchant Association was more active.
Yeah.
I mean, you're essentially creating like a mini taxing jurisdiction. And we have examples that cross borders, like library districts and things like that. So our understanding is, and we'd have, if we were going that route, we wanna confirm,
Right, yeah.
an updated legal opinion on that.
Okay.
We believe that you could do a SID across municipal boundaries.
So with Cedar Fairmount, we tried to get University Circle involved. So just to give you an example, one year they decided, because we thought, okay, we have landscaping and it ends at top of the hill, all right? We thought, okay, so wouldn't it be lovely to have it go all the way down to University Circle subway station? That would be great. So I graduated from Case, I called them up and I was like, hey, I'm an alum, let's do this. And they said, great. And so the first year they do it. And the second year, a new person comes in that's handling property. And he says, nope, no budget, bye. So that was the end of that. So similar situation where there's like a cutoff where you don't necessarily want there to be a cutoff. But in that situation, we had no control.
Gotcha. Last question.
I just want to interject real quick with what you're saying. If does it apply if they get 60% in the same area that cross borders, they would automatically have to be a part?
Brian?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
It has to be contiguous, and that would be contiguous, so I would think that it would be okay, but again, it would be something we'd have to check with the government.
Okay, I just.
And I
That's the other
guess
thing, it has to
tied
be
to that
contiguous.
is too, because the city is seeking, as you said, your second part, Navita, is government assistance and, you know, so now we are dealing with Cleveland Heights, but supporting University Heights businesses and that to me was one of our dicey areas, was how do you manage that? How do you bring University Heights into it, if you bring them in?
Yeah.
Okay.
It also has to be contiguous frontage.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like you can skip an area and then say they're gonna be in the city. Everybody has to be contiguous,
Okay,
okay?
gotcha. Well,
Is this making more sense now?
Well, you're familiar with that area, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cedar Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, contiguous is that Taylor is a dividing line.
Right, exactly.
So everybody kind of is.
Yeah, which is why I was saying that like if you decided you wanted to create individualized marketing campaigns based on what each area is, to me, it's almost like marketing one whole city as Taylor and then going into it and saying, okay, but this is the neighborhood within the city and merchandising those individually. So you have the option of doing like a broad range kind of marketing campaign, but you also could do it by segments. I mean, either way is a possibility.
And lastly, are you available as a consultant or are the consultants available?
That's why I'm here.
So you would be hired by the city to try to help develop it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and so I actually helped with the renewal of the Cedar Fairmount SID and also its expansion into the apartment buildings. There hadn't been a SID in Cleveland Heights that involved apartment buildings prior to that. Coventry had attempted to go down Hampshire and Lancashire, but it didn't work. So this was the first time we went into like side streets and expanded.
One of the things that we discussed in the Noble meeting is when you have the Merchants Association versus the SIDS is the merchant's interest versus the property owner's interest. And I think for our Noble, it was a little unique because I feel like we were more merchant heavy.
Yeah, we
With some
absolutely were.
exception, it feels like we might be more property, maybe it's a mix in here. But who has the ultimate say when it comes to that budget that's created in the SID in terms of what they're using the monies for, the merchants or the property owners?
The property owners do, but with that in mind, the merchants are welcome to come to the meetings for the SID. And also, there, at least in both situations that I worked with, there was money set aside for marketing, and the marketing was really driven by the merchants more than by the building owners, because the building owners weren't as interested in that. They were more interested in things like property development and how the district was looked, the aesthetics of the district. So they were much more involved with what's the plowing contract, what's the landscaping contract, those kind of things. They did have oversight in terms of what the marketing was gonna be. And if I had said to them, look, we're gonna bring in clowns every week, they probably would have said no. But I think that other than that, it was really up to the merchants, the direction that they wanted to take and if there was buy-in to a campaign.
Clown thing works really well for plumbing.
You
There's a
Yeah.
there's a disconnect between these neighborhoods though where the SID would not cross over. One of the reasons you're seeing that beautiful diversity economically, culturally in South Taylor, Cedar Taylor District is because it's not triple net. Triple net prices small businesses out, especially in a city where you have a high tax cap. So the reason people can afford to open small businesses on Taylor is because those properties, for the most part, are not triple net. across the street, who owns that building that pushed the dry cleaner out?
Oh, that was, I don't know who owns it. It was the Coral Company did the original development.
Yeah, I'm sure that's,
Ruben sold it.
I think that's triple net, I imagine, but that's one issue.
Peter Rubin had it and sold it.
Right.
Yes.
It was.
And then as you ask any of our neighbors, because I know Tiara's not here, she's with Sweet Siren. She had the same troubles getting her landlord to fix anything. I'm having the same trouble. When you bring landlords into the things that you have to have a more intimate relationship with, it's gonna be very, very difficult because most of them are out of state, disinterested, it's passive income to them, they're not invested in the neighborhood, they're not invested in the community. That's facts, right? Part of the problem with Coventry right now, because I'm having conversations with business owners in Coventry all the time, they're friends of mine. Landlords do not go to the SID meetings. It's one of the most frustrating points of their meetings. They do not attend the meetings. So much so that a lot of those small business owners have given up on the meetings. They don't go anymore. That is a problem with Coventry. That's why you have business owners are like, why the hell do we have 4 smoke shops that are designated smoke shops open on the same strip? How are these landlords not communicating with each other? That's a competition issue. They're not communicating because they're not even at the meetings. They're not talking to each other at all. So when you bring landlords into merchant association, that sort of thing, the disconnect between the merchants and the landlords is so wide that that's the biggest hurdle for me. I don't understand how that would work.
So
in a
I was
neighborhood
very
like
lucky
ours.
working with Coventry because all of the buildings were owned by local. And it was a
in the
time,
past.
yeah, it was in the past, and it was a time when the Tommy's building was owned by Tommy and Steve Presser and everybody that we
And
know.
now they have a massive
Right.
occupancy rate.
Right, and also, the American Apparel building was owned by someone else, which, they were all local, and Montlack was coming to meetings when he wasn't in Miami.
Also the Cortland building.
And Lou Zipkin was coming to meetings, but now half the time he's in Florida, so you end up with a situation that even the local people aren't coming to meetings, I guess now. Cedar Fairmount was a different situation, most of the owners did come to meetings, in fact, the out-of-town owners did even fly in to come to meetings, and
Are
so,
most of them local owners?
It's a mixture.
it's a mixture.
One building is a Michigan owner, but he does drive in for the meetings.
Yeah.
So are you saying that Taylor would have more it would be more beneficiary for the Taylor to do something like Noble is talking about doing, is more of a merchant association where it involves all the merchants?
I mean, I would ask all the other merchants, but it seems to me
How many are owners here?
owners of the
A
building?
building.
Oh, no, I'm just a guy.
And he is as well.
There you go.
Oh,
One over there.
I'm just a guy.
Okay, all right. All right.
Yeah,
It is a big issue though.
yeah, I know that that's a valid concern is, outside landlords, they don't really care about,
Care less.
the condition of the property, the condition of the neighborhood, but when you own the building,
But you're an owner operator, so it's not like you rented it out to another
Yes.
business.
Right.
So
no,
you have the
yes,
same
but I'm
right.
saying, I would think if, like your landlord is outside of the
Yeah, I
city.
think he lives in New York or something.
So I would guess that, he wouldn't really be too concerned about the condition of the neighborhood and, how the property looks and if, your ceiling falls through. Where if it's for us, I mean, we're responsible for, the outside appearance and the repairs and all that stuff. So I think that's a really valid concern.
Yep.
So when I had to renew my lease and there was a new landlord, it took me like 3 weeks to get him on the phone. My lease had already ended. And because he sold to one of his old business partners. My lease had already ended and hey, I need to know what's going on. My entire life is invested in this. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I'll just talk to you then. And then eventually I was like, I'll talk to you through a lawyer. That's not the point. Because that's the only time that's the only time he called me back. So he called me back, oh, this is important to you, huh? And I'm like, yeah, what? Of course it is. Then I'm like, we have all these things that need to be repaired. Are you gonna repair any of these? And he said, no, but I'm gonna raise the rent. And I said, do I have a say in it? He goes, no. And I go, okay, I guess that's the end of the conversation. And that was the end of the conversation. That was it.
Well, excuse me, I'm having a hard time hearing this, where a tenant is staying in a place that needs repair, and the city doesn't come out and fine or do anything? I mean, where's the city
Taylor,
involved in this?
every business, most of the business owners I've spoken to on Taylor have said that housing code, building code is not applied to Taylor Road's business
That happened to
district.
me. I just got current new owners, but right before the new owners purchased the building, that's when they finally came out and was like, oh, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed, you're coded on this. And then they rushed and did it, and then it's like cover-up work, patchwork, just to get past, and now the new owners are in. And now it's like, oh, I have to tell them about this and that, like, it's
Was there a point of
reoccurring.
sale inspection?
Yeah.
There was, okay.
Most of the time, we end up
That's when it
fixing it
wouldn't be
ourselves
good.
because we
That's
have
when it
no choice.
Not really.
I feel like there's a whole other issue, and I kind of squeezed it in on the last meeting where I'm challenging the city of Cleveland Heights, because I know we've had land banks in other cities that no longer allow these outside investors to come in and own property. Not for this meeting, obviously, but it absolutely affects whether or not a merchants association versus the SIDS would be successful. I feel like that should be a priority in the city of Cleveland Heights, why we're not having these conversations as far as who owns our properties, because even as residents, we're having these issues with these outside owners that have no vested interest in Ohio or the city of Cleveland
When we
Heights.
incentivize owner operators, they
Well,
tend to take better
if I'm
care of
not mistaken, and you could try to help, I think the state law says that we have a local law that says if there's an out-of-town, and I may need help with this, an out-of-town landlord, you have to have a local property management company. But I can tell you from
Yeah, they
the
don't.
experience I've had, no, they do it, but these property management companies are like, they take an unlimited amount of people. And you don't necessarily, just because they're local, find them to be attentive. But, go ahead.
And I would add that Columbus is going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, they
The
are.
State House is looking to
Open it
restrict
up more.
local municipalities' ability to restrict that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be something that we continue to explore. And to the point that this gentleman's talking about, well, I think everybody about commercial inspections. So just so you know, inspections was one separate department. Last year thereabouts, the mayor put it under planning. And so we're really looking at all those things again, and it was surprising that commercial inspections don't have the same focus that the residential have. So it's something we're working on to make
Well,
sure
there's no safety net, like you can't put your rent in escrow as legally as a commercial tenant, you can only do that as a residential tenant. So there's nothing to stop them from, they just go, well, then find somewhere else, but in this
Yeah.
economy, where are you going to go?
Right.
Well, commercial, the landlord can put in the lease, tenant makes all repairs.
Yeah.
Cannot do that on residential.
Yeah.
But you can, if you sign a lease and and that's what it says, you're gonna be the one making the repairs.
But if it doesn't say that,
No, if it
you're gonna
doesn't,
be the one to make the repairs
I
because it
think
takes
the
so damn
default,
long.
I think it defaults, if there's nothing, you help me on this too, please. I think if there's nothing in the lease, I think it defaults to the landlord.
Yeah, it does.
It's been a while, but we have occasionally had someone from Cleveland Heights come in. And, you know, I think it's you.
I think it's.
Just come into Mr. Briscoe on occasion.
Oh, yeah, no,
Walked around and made notes about
I
things.
think it's you.
I'm not inspecting.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone's inspecting us on occasion.
We haven't had an inspector
But it's been a while.
since before COVID, probably.
And then
the first
they
year
referred
we
it over, you know, to the landlord, and then they were subpar repairs, but.
The fire department comes every October,
Right.
they make sure you have the, fire
you're
specialist
right,
tests.
right,
The fire department, I swear, we have them like 3 times a year they come in.
Well,
I'm there come
They're not-
over years.
To building,
They're not building.
they're
mean,
just
they're
trying
just
to make sure that
checking.
you're.
Everything,
You're-
exits, doors.
I mean, that's the only
Having a
city,
leak on the
Oh, no,
ceiling
I know that, I'm just saying,
and
the
this stuff
fire
is just
department.
crazy that I'm
it's
Oh, I
the only
understand.
city inspector that associated with the city that comes regularly is the fire department.
I do know that the fire department routinely reports other things they see to the building department. I don't know if it's an actual directive.
it's part of the equation.
Yeah,
So as they're looking at the various permits and registrations, that's an input.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen on a regular occurrence on the housing inspection, the inspection side.
So does the city have an avenue for tenants to lodge complaints and get resolution?
Mayor's Action Center.
To lodge complaints and get resolution?
And I would suggest that for everybody here. Mayor's Action Center, MAC at clevelandheights.gov. Because that's the person, there's a person designated to follow up on all these complaints. And that's the way you get it officially documented and followed up. I can tell you Todd Walburn,
Isn't there a site to do that too besides just the email address? For the
well,
mayor's
there's a
action
phone
center?
number
There's an
Yes,
You could actually-
and an app.
There's a
So
site.
you can actually
Yeah, there's an
log
app.
in and
The phone number is 216-291-2323. Remember the 2323 part?
Garfield one?
Right, exactly. That's, I think that's why they picked it.
Yeah, that goes.
This number.
Tell us how, right.
I don't wanna take up more of the meeting. I created just a handout so that you can see what the difference is between a SID and a merchants association. So I'm just gonna pass these around. And if you have any questions, Davina knows how to get a hold of me, so.
Please, I have so many now. Cause I think the pertinent piece of his question was, and actually get action. So I'm curious, cause this is not a residents meeting, but we don't get too much action residentially when it comes to violations. And I managed housing violations for about 20 years. So I'm kind of curious about some of our legislation in terms of where that onus goes as a city when a property owner is not taking action and how long it could sit there before the city goes and takes action and doesn't just wait for someone who's not to take it. But can you have a successful SIDS if majority of the property owners are not here?
I think
That's
he
the
was
question.
responding to that question.
It sounds like
Also,
no.
I don't know whether they would sign to get the 60% if they were out of town. Because would they be invested enough to wanna do a SID? That's a whole other question.
Because that 60% goes on the property taxes, even though it probably rolls to the merchants.
Yeah.
It still is on their taxes.
Yeah, but they still have to come in.
If you're in a business
The
that's
payment.
mostly occupied by triple net leases,
Yeah.
then they're gonna be fine with that because it rolls
What is
into
a
the
triple
merchant.
net lease?
It means you pay the rent, you pay the tax, and you pay the upkeep.
Oh,
It's all yours.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's all.
So when our,
I believe the term is getting fucked.
you're on camera.
Luckily, we bleep that out.
In theory, it's supposed to lower the gross rent,
Right,
but in practice, it does not.
right.
So it's a
No, of course not.
it's a scam, but it's a scam that's worked very well for owners, very poorly for tenants.
And then the other piece, like when we were talking about contiguous, I'm probably saying that word incorrectly, but the continuity of like whatever that in Noble, we were talking about, you could break it up. So in the event, if you needed to have separate SIDS on the South Taylor area, be it because of an apartment building or be it because of a bit, that you can have that separate SIDS within the South Taylor area.
If we were to have separate SIDS, will it still be one merchant? Like, we still all come together as the business owner and then separate for the building owner?
I think that
That would be
option
up
is
to
up to you guys, yeah.
And I'm thinking that from listening, that the association would probably be better.
Yeah.
And it would be better in blocks, like we said, for Noble. But my question is, so just to identify a block, say Cedar to, what's that, Washington?
Yeah.
That street?
Yeah.
Would that be a block? Or could that be a block, divided by, streets or?
Well, I think
What-
you can draw the
kinda
boundary wherever.
You can draw.
You draw the boundary, okay, so you could actually take from Silsby, right?
We're by like Cedar
Tullamore.
Yeah.
Kildare.
Right, but I'm thinking,
I think it's Tullamore of Washington.
It's past the library.
right, but I was gonna say from is that Cedarbrook or Silsby up closer up? Where the Sherman Williams start? Okay, Cedarbrook to Cedar?
Well, no, you'd wanna go Cedar Brook down to
Under Washington
Washington.
or Superior.
Or Superior.
It's actually Superior.
Yes,
Superior.
right before the park.
Mm-hmm.
Superior's Canyon.
Okay, all right. No, cause I started in my mental, I was thinking breaking it into different.
it.
Yeah.
Breaking it where you have from what you said that street was? Cedar Brook to Cedar, and then stop and then start another one on the other end of Cedar to Washington, and then do a break, and then that's where the Tutors, right? We're moving into the Tutors, that from there to, what's the other break? It'd be like,
Well, that's Euclid Heights, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Euclid
just
Heights.
the Euclid Heights.
yeah. Oh, would that be all the way to
Severance.
the Severance, yeah, that would be a large block there. But that's, I was just thinking that
If you had to break
based,
it up.
if you had to break it up based on merchants, cause I know maybe quite a few merchants may be here from one block.
Well,
That's
our
it.
block, we all talk about doing stuff together all the time, we just haven't materialized it.
Mhm.
Like, all of us, you're on my block, it's not my block, but you know what I mean.
Well, the only
It's yours.
here, I think, is Riley, that's not part of Cedar Taylor, pretty much. Unless I'm missing something here.
You're on Taylor, right?
We're at the,
I'm saying, he says he's just not in the Cedar Taylor.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're
We want to
like,
exclude.
Off Taylor.
yeah, I kind of wish we had more like small businesses around us, like we have Shell, we have Family Dollar. The only kind of small business that we talk to regularly is the Chinese restaurant.
Sunluck?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Oh, she's friends of mine. She's really close friends with my wife.
So, yeah, I'm just curious, like, if one is more successful, if it's more successful to have just like one giant one, or like different groups.
Well, your block is gonna be completely reimagined when the Taylor's tutor thing is.
Yeah.
It all depends on what happens with that development. So if that becomes, I'm gonna be honest, if that becomes a triple net place, you're not gonna have small businesses in there. It's not gonna happen. That's why you don't see small businesses open in Cedar Fairmont's new build. It's not gonna happen. It's not accessible. It's not affordable. It's just not gonna happen. But
Top
if
of the
it,
Hill isn't part of the Cedar Fairmount SID.
I imagine,
Yeah.
but, cause you just have the medical place, that's it.
No, it's not because of that, it's because of the frontage and what it would have cost them to participate. So instead, they make a donation into the SID
Yeah.
instead
I looked
of-
into those properties and then I spoke to other businesses that looked into those properties and they're all like, that's impossible, it's never gonna house any small business. But that's gonna completely revitalize that neighborhood whenever that finalizes, cause Sunluck is already worried about that as well, what they're gonna do when that happens, cause they might get pushed out.
I have a question. In the past, like working with the other areas, how exactly did these groups help bring in
Good question.
clientele, more people? How did the groups work, like for marketing and just, you know?
Well, when I did Coventry, as I mentioned, we did street fairs. And I had brought the street fair back and I changed the model. So we had 27,000 people on the street on a Thursday, which is huge. And we also had TV coverage. So because they joined together, they figured out what to do. But you also can do programs, marketing programs, because you have more money together as a group. So you can decide how you want your marketing dollars to go. You know, like if you wanna bring in more people like around back to school, or if you wanna do something as a spring break kind of thing, you can do all of that together. Whereas if you do it by yourself, I mean, there's only so much money, you know? So when I use the analogy about doing a house sale and having, you know, like, do you promote your house alone, or do you promote the whole street, or do you promote 3 streets? If you have 3 streets, then you have 3 streets worth of people talking about it and more money and all of the rest of the things that go with it. So you can decide with the other merchants how you want your budget to go. If you decide you wanna do like a map directory, like some of the places had done, like they did a map of what the businesses were, and each of the businesses had a location on the map, and they would hand out the maps at their cash register. So that people knew when they came into your salon, for example, oh, if I go here, then I could eat down the street, or I could make reservations for dinner or whatever. A lot of times what I found, because I work with Cleveland Independence, the restaurant organization, people don't realize what's like right around the corner from their house. And so when they get something like a map, they can do that. You can do all kinds of like passport programs are real popular, that people go to different places, they get a passport stamped and then they get some prize or whatever at the end of the passport. So, you know, there's marketing programs that you can do as a group that you can't afford probably to do on your own. That's the whole advantage.
If I'm understanding her correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. She's saying bottom line, do you have data showing where businesses' profits are increasing because of that?
Well, do I personally know? Because I don't have access.
Is there, has any type of,
Well, I think,
research gone out to, double back with?
Diane,
Yeah.
so we had Dream Spa before we were on South Taylor and we were at Cedar Fairmount. So I was on the Cedar Fairmount merchants group for 8 years. And in that I participated, I think Nicole, you were asking about like, can you get a boost in customers? We did, like Vera said, we did sidewalk sales and festivals, Cedar Fairmount. And we would set up a table and we would do like, I don't know, complimentary nail art and we'd sell like nail polish and stuff like that. And we did get a lot of new customers from Fairmount, that still are customers till this day that followed us on to South Taylor. So I do think that whatever we decide, merchant, group or whatever, but I do think that there would be value for all of us. Like South Taylor, there's no other place for like a bunch of barbershops like us than like 185th. But, we have peppered in like, businesses and stuff like that, restaurants. We have a great
location. And I agree, and I'm on board with it because like last year I was able to do a coat drive for kids, but I wanted it to happen more in the area. But when I was going around, and some of my part too, I didn't go around to every business, but the ones I go to regularly every day, I went and asked, and it was just more so like, I don't know, so I feel like it is needed. Like we do need to have monthly meetings or quarterly, however much so, but because that's the type of stuff I want to do. I want to be able to give back, whether it's like nail polish, manicures, or I have done so in the past because I've been there since 2019. So, but I just want to know, like, I just want basically just everybody just participating.
And I just wanna jump in, I'm totally the newbie here, but we were on Coventry for 14 years, and one of the things that we were able to do as a youth serving space was youth don't come on their own. So we would give out things and we would encourage parents to go down to Coventry, and there was a very natural flow of parents dropping kids off, or they would pick them up after summer camps or after workshops. They would go to Tommy's, they would go get ice cream, so there was kind of this natural thing for us. And so we're very used to kind of doing that synergy, where we're sharing that information. Like, hey, drop them off, go get a haircut, go do this. The other thing is that we started doing community cookbooks, and we collect recipes and writing from adults, kids, but businesses and restaurants. So that's another way of like sort of engaging people on all different kinds of levels, where we would collect that information from you, we would do the publishing, but then we would ask you all to carry that book. Promote the kids program so that we're actually all sharing that same information for each other and kind of building that out.
I know too that like I had been on the board of Heights Arts and we used to do open mic. And when they did open mic nights, all the parents would come to hear their kids, and then afterwards they would go to the movies or they would go to eat or whatever. And so it becomes a viral situation instead of just focused on you, which helps because you're kind of spreading the wealth amongst everybody instead of just having to focus on yourself.
I'm gonna do two more questions and then we can always come back for a few minutes. But I wanna give Elise and I wanna give Aaron an opportunity to tell you what's out there to help your businesses as well before we end. Yes, go ahead.
Just wanted to add to that with the marketing, think about the fact that you can take some marketing dollars and maybe build a website that can just be simplified, but that has you as a merchants association if that's what you choose. So there's a directory of everywhere that leads back to your own website, but a collective place where people can see who's in the district. You can have events listed on there. Then also start social media channels that bounce off of that too. So taking what you're all doing individually, but there's one spot to go. So when you're looking for, the Cedar Fairmont district, it's cedarfairmont.org. But then you start creating that identity both online and in person. I think is very helpful.
And we have ARPA money that's available that we're trying to help with assistance for the Taylor area and the Noble area to try to get a association or something going. And so that's one reason we decided, the council members and all of us decided to bring you all together to find out what you wanted. How did you want to operate and go forward? And this is the first meeting. But what I would like for you to do, I would like for you, those who are at this table, to reach out to the other merchants in your block and create one meeting of all of you all and discuss what you've heard here. And then we will schedule another meeting, and then you all come back and tell us what you have discussed, what you've decided, how would you like to move forward? Because you don't want to take this opportunity where we are able to assist in getting you a merchant association started and the money's gone, or it's too late, or nothing can happen. So we are trying to, and the city, and Eric and all of us are trying to help, those two business districts. And we're not neglecting the other business districts, but we're trying to give you an opportunity to be able to have a voice. Where Brian, he goes to the CID meetings and he talks and they tell him what they want and what they need and what all the help they want and all that kind of stuff. So you'll have someone right there from the city where you can just pour your complaints on, or say, rah, great job, we love what you did, or whatever. But if you can't figure out how to do it as a group, it's not gonna work individually. So I really want you to think about it. That was the homework I gave Noble. I asked them to go back and touch bases with every person on Noble. Use your block. Everybody take a block and say, I'm gonna reach these people in my block. And set up a meeting, whoever has a facility or place that you would love to host the meeting just for you all, so you can actually discuss it privately and come up with some ideas. And Myra or, I'm putting y'all on the spot. If they wanna come and you wanna bounce off someone, please feel free to do that. But you should be able to discuss this yourselves as merchants and find out what you want. Now Taylor, Noble, I'm so proud of them. They have moved forward with their homework. They had their meeting on Sunday, and they notified me to say, I'm just letting you know we had our meeting on Sunday. They're gonna have an additional meeting, and so they're trying to move forward and trying to figure out what they want. So I'm excited to find out at our next meeting in March what they want and how they want to move forward. So I'm asking you as Taylor merchants to do the same thing. And so that will be your homework when you leave here.
Do you have an email list of the people who were at this meeting?
We're gonna send that to you. Yep, that's what we did for Noble. We'll send the email, a list to everybody here. And so you can get started. Someone will have to be the person to say, I'm gonna make sure we have this meeting and put it together. I wanna make sure that we're all on board, and just want you to know we're here to help you. We're here to help you and make your businesses successful within Cleveland Heights, as we try to help all of the other business districts as well. So now I'm gonna turn over to the two people who have maybe grants, funding, money, opportunities, all that good stuff that can help your business. So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
So within the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, we have the Entrepreneurship Center, and the Entrepreneurship Center has 3 unique areas that include Small Business Development Center, which is state funded, and it serves both minorities and non-minorities. Specific to those from the startup phase, I have an idea all the way through, I'm doing great as a business, but I have a specific need. We have our Minority Business Assistance Center, who is there to help and develop minority businesses, which includes our women's owned, our Black owned, our veteran owned businesses, be it in the way of certification, procurement, for those that may not be as familiar with that word, procuring contracts. A lot of our small businesses are not aware of the opportunities that you have within the city of Cleveland and its greater area, be it with Tri-C, Northeast Regional Sewage District, Bedrock Developments, Cleveland Browns. I think we always look at stuff when it comes to contracts by way of construction, and we have caterers that have won huge bids, public bids, with some of these relationships as a supplier, just because nobody knew that they were needed. So they had a special opportunity to be the company or organization as a small business to win those bids. So our Minority Business Assistance Center really helps in the area of procuring contracts. And this is for businesses that have been established for at least a year, that have some sort of revenue coming in. All of our services are 100% free. I think I'm gonna say 99.8% free. Every now and then, Small Business Development and MBAC might have a workshop where there's like a $50 cost. I think I've seen it once, and I've been working with the Urban League as a client since 2018, as a consultant for about 5 years, and as a full-time employee for about 3. So I really have seen where there's a charge. And then I work in funding at UBiz Venture Capital, and UBiz Venture Capital, we've kind of coined ourselves like the funding arm of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. Our focus is uniquely providing loans and also grants, specifically loans, but we have grants through our PepsiCo small restaurant program. We just closed those applications, and we've awarded over $500,000 in the past 4 years to restaurants, caterers, mobile units in the food servicing industry. We work with different banks in the area to provide free QuickBooks for at least 6 months, and free accountants and bookkeepers as well. We just closed that program with Huntington, but our MBAC Center does provide free accounting services. 2 of the areas that we find our small businesses struggle the most, everyone's really, really talented in their services. They know what their service is and how to provide that, but getting clients to come in, acquiring clients, operating their business, really understanding systems and what systems mean for their businesses, and then financial literacy really plagues our small businesses. So we provide free training and also free business advisors. I always say stay squeaky if you're working with us. Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, which you're about to learn about, ECDI, Women's Business Center, Jumpstart, Village Capital. There's a lot of us in the ecosystem that people don't know about, but everyone has a different experience. Sometimes that experience is like, oh my God, you saved my business. And sometimes that experience is, how come you haven't returned my phone call? Because just in the Urban League, we serve about 2,000 clients a year on average, and we only have like 3 business advisors, but we have a support staff as well of trainers and facilitators and program coordinators. And we also just recently developed a relationship with the city of Cleveland Heights to help disperse and manage those ARPA funds for small businesses. I think we're closing on that soon. And then we also have a small business grant through Cuyahoga County that their department has provided, where we provide business plans, capability statements, and also loans as well to small businesses. So there's a lot that we provide, so much so it's kind of hard to represent the information. Joe Madison is our director for small business development. Shoshana Duckworth is our regional director for the Minority Business Assistance Center. And again, I'm Lisa Bray with UBiz Venture Capital. If you have not worked with the Urban League, if you've worked with them and maybe you felt like you didn't get everything you needed, come back. And like I say, stay squeaky. Because the resources are absolutely there, be it you just need help developing contract templates, you need help bringing more clients into your center, or even you want to pursue these relationships with merchant groups or SIDS. We have services to help businesses.
You have any business cards with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
I have a digital business card, but
Okay.
yes.
All right, now you're on.
Thank you. How much time do we have?
We have like 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm gonna pass
Always
these
been a
cards out while I
great
talk.
meeting.
Yeah.
But go ahead, I'm quite sure the mayor will not mind us being.
Well, I'm not gonna get in trouble with the mayor. I'll make this as quick as possible. Lisa did a great job of actually summing up some of what the Department of Development does in helping support some of our action agencies locally to help better support the needs of entrepreneurs and business owners across the county. So what we were charged with, it was the Department of Development was charged with by the incoming county executive, Chris Ronayne, was to develop and shape an Office of Small Business dedicated to those business owners that were finding struggles or having some kind of challenges scaling and growing their business. And what we had really decided to do in that launch was really be a concierge service to those business owners and getting them connected with action agencies like the Urban League or UBiz Venture Capital to get access to those true dollars and those grant opportunities or even loans in some situations. We do have a budget in-house for lending. It depends on what that business owner's needs are in order to really apply and get approved for those loans. But what is great is we are connected with over 70 action agencies like UBiz Venture Capital that has further opportunities than what we do in our department, in our office. So that's great to have that network and that ecosystem of support. And I think we all together are supporting each other to fulfill the needs and the true needs. And it's really so what I like to think is we're not just determining what those needs are for you all as business owners. We're trying to do our best to hear from you. And I think Lisa hit it right on the head was stay squeaky. If we don't hear from you, if we don't hear the concerns and the needs, just like what you all expressed today, then we're left to just try to make decisions on our own. And that's not what we want to do as a county government.
Aaron, if you could mention your 30-minute free listening session.
Yes. We do have a 30-minute free listening session with the Office of Small Business. Call the number here that's listed on this business card. That listening session will allow you as a business owner to detail what you're going through. And what we do from that 30-minute listening session is game plan or huddle as a department, really internally to figure out who the best agency is for you in order to really meet the needs that you're expressing to us. Sometimes it won't be directly in-house as far as getting connected with that specific resource. But again, we have over 70 ecosystem partners that we're connected with that we could potentially, we don't necessarily make referrals, we advise on those business owners to get connected with those groups.
Do you work with nonprofits?
We do, yes, absolutely. And Northeast Ohio, especially in Cuyahoga County, has a huge nonprofit footprint, so yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just gonna ask you two a question as we exit out, because you deal with small businesses, you deal with a lot of merchants, you deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. What advice would you give the merchants sitting here regarding even thinking about a merchants association or SID or something to give them some type of thought process when they leave here of what they need to do in the action?
I'm gonna say, I think more than ever, we see the need to be a community and a collective. Trying to do anything individually is near impossible. You'll always reach a breaking point. That breaking point might take 20 years, but in businesses, I see we always reach a breaking point. So I think even if it ends up not, being different groups, different chapters, or to have a team of people amongst you, and then to, within that team, have a voice, and constantly stay squeaky with the city, and then work with the partners that may have grants, loans, business advisory services. Even though we may not have statistics, because I am a numbers girl, it changes things for your businesses. It's a guarantee that it changes in the positive direction. So I think collective activity is important more so now than ever.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay, so for one, I completely agree. Personally, this actually has nothing to do with my county experience, but I've seen the David and Goliath story happen over and over again. And when you come together as a unit, you can certainly move mountains. And my personal experience actually comes from the Merchant Association and that being successful when it is extremely powerful when you have dollars, hard dollars, and a mind, a like mind going, not necessarily against what a property owner or property landlord, has, but in a way, what you need as a business owner, as a merchant, and a community member, way more than a business or a property owner, need or would think, that community needs, and especially those outside or out-of-state landlords. So I say all that to say, in my personal experience, the Merchant Association speaks to me because I've seen that happen over and over again. But caveat is you have to be committed to something like that. The SID, I'm learning more and more about SIDs and special improvement districts, especially with county government having our county planning department. You have to have some sort of buy-in with those property owners who may not already have some kind of, buy-in to that community, especially so you're going to ask something again of those, individuals, those companies, or can be large conglomerates, of participation. But when you as a local merchant and a local community member can do that together and then, spend dollars in a way that you want to, that's extremely powerful.
And I gotta say, strategy is really important. I think we all have different personalities, and anytime you're gonna have to put up a fight maybe, you always want to be solution minded and problem solving minded. Fire stokers work too. They do. So if when you meet, you find that it feels more problem based, find that voice that can be the solution person. Like they can collect those problems and find what the solution is so they can be a representative.
Yes.
Just wanted to add on just sort of the structure and overview of what we do, like meeting wise and content wise. So whether you go for a merchants association or a SID, the stability and the constant ability to have these meetings. So as a Cedar Fairmont SID, we are the second Tuesday of every other month at 9 a.m. So just that idea of you have a schedule for the year, so everybody knows where it is, when it is, it stays consistent, it's planned out. We try to stick to an hour, sometimes we have more to talk about, but basically an hour meeting. We have representation from city council, from the city economic development department. So again, they know when they're coming, you're gonna have your ability to talk to those in the city and the city council with some issues. And they're usually pretty much a half and half, where the first is logistics and operations. So it is about beautification. We have these potholes, what's going on with the parking garage, how come these buildings are vacant and what's happening, so that kind of stuff. And then the second half is usually more the marketing, the promotions, how we're driving business to our district. So
But always with an agenda.
with an agenda, yes.
Nobody's winging it at these meetings.
Exactly, so it's spelled out, we know new business, old business, people can submit items to the agenda if they want to in advance, but have sort of that point person, so again, that consistency, that structure, having the schedule, knowing you're gonna have participation, 2 points.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. I hope you gained some information, some knowledge about what we would like for you to talk about and bring to us. So I'm asking that you all put together a meeting of your own. I will be getting back to you about having another meeting here in probably mid-March, early April. So I will send that date out. So in the meantime, I would like to hear from someone to say that, hey, we're putting together our meeting, we're gonna be discussing this among ourselves, and we'll see how bad you want it. And what do you wanna do, and how successful you want your block to be on Taylor Road. But don't procrastinate, money don't last long, and deadlines happen very swiftly. So make sure that you start to gather as soon as you leave here, think about it, and someone be the point. Just say, hey, y'all can meet at my place, you can meet at my place, let's everybody get their blocks together. Yes.
One thing that we forgot to say that we said last time, for anyone that might be interested in future ARPA funds or like however grant, just make sure you get your taxes together.
Yes, yes,
Forgot to
yes, because an application will be, they'll be completing the application for people to apply for ARPA dollars with the city. And I asked what can people needed to be doing prior to that, because people sometimes can't find their paperwork, or they need their paperwork, and this is what you need to apply. So make sure you start gathering information, documentation, taxes, all those things if you plan to apply for ARPA dollars for your business, okay? All right, well, thank you all so very much, I appreciate you for coming, and if there's nothing else, council member?
I'm gonna have them call you.
Nope, this meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.